is a podcast made by women for women. We talk with a wide variety of experts, ranging from a sex therapist to the CDC and everywhere in between, to bring you the stories you're only going to hear here. Our goal is to entertain and educate, because it's more clear now than ever just how much we as women are doing, as parents, as spouses, employees, just as everything. Don't miss out on being in the know. Subscribe to Soul Source wherever you listen to podcasts today. Leave us a review too, because this part's really important. When you leave those reviews, that's how we're able to continue bringing you the content you love each and every week. So buckle up, Soul Source Society, because we're about to get started.
By learning your human design type, you learn how to energetically make decisions that are aligned with your ease and fulfillment and growth in life. So it doesn't have to be a struggle. You don't have to reach for it and look for it externally. It's really about tuning into your energetic strategy.
Hello, everybody. It is your host of Soul Source here, Raquel Lamel. And today we're talking about energy. We're talking about something called human design. And I'm really excited to do this because I just discovered this about first part of February. It was my birthday. My sister came over actually, and she was talking to me about this. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then we went down a whole rabbit hole, did a bunch of research, learned so much. It's incredible what you can learn about yourself just based off of when you were born and what was happening and how accurate that is. Guys, this is going to be really fun. My guest today is an expert. She can explain this way better than I can. Her name is Miranda Mitchell, and she is an energy expert. Miranda, welcome to Soul Source.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited that you learned about it. Can't wait.
I know. Well, I just learned about it. So it's so new for me. And then to come across you, right after that, that whole thing where you're your phone is listening to you. I was kind of having those vibes. I was I don't know if something is going on here. So
I love that. And also waiting to respond. So I'll go more into that later, but it's a sign. And synchronicities, there are synchronicities.
Oh, this is incredible. Okay. So let's talk about energy first, because this whole thing revolves around that. And that's your area of expertise. So talk to me about, how does energy affect us every day?
Yeah, energy is very interesting. And I'm so glad that more and more people are becoming aware of the energy of who we are. The energy of what we think, as well as what we then create. And it goes into even more of, as I learned about energetics and human design, in human design, it actually shows us where we have consistent energy and where we take in other people's energy. So that means, if you think about it, the people that we are around affect us because we take in their energy. Right. So when I reflect on my previous life, I notice times now that I was in the places that were not healthy, that were not good for me. And I always questioned why I was acting or being, or why was this happening to me? And I realize now it was because, first of all, the energy of who I thought I was inadequate. I didn't know about myself. I didn't love myself. And I was surrounded by people that just proved that to me. So as soon as I realized this, and my first really tuning into energy was with the yoga, I was able to slow down, really see inside. I realized that, it actually, there's more to it than we think. We can truly shift the way that we see things by, first of all, reflecting on who we are, and then also being around people that support us and see us. So energy can really just change and shift your entire life, but it's hard process because a lot of people want results right away. But
it doesn't happen right away.
Yeah. If you think about it, it's it reminds me kind of like a wind. It has this little bit of wind moving the energy around, right? As you have this thought. But then if it doesn't happen right away, we let it go and nothing happens. But if you're consistently thinking and being positive and working towards your relationships and doing all these things within a work, the wind becomes more powerful, and then things start happening. So it's trust. It's learning to trust.
It's kind of that whole self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, it really does work. It's not crazy.
It's really not.
So we're actually talking about this last week in our office here. We're an office of almost a dozen women or so at Red Shoes, which is the host of Soul Source or sponsor Soul Source. And so we were talking about energy, and some of the girls were like, well, how, like they were looking, I think, almost for like a science, like how does that work? And it's not like, it's hard to explain because it's like you said, the wind, but it's not really like, there's not a hard and fast science to this, is there?
No. And that's the thing that I love about human design. Actually, that's the thing that made me fall in love with, like, yes, because, you know, with yoga, meditation, pranayama, all of those things, people, we study that, and there's no tangible evidence, right? It's like, okay, I believe in this. I'm going to try this. I don't know if it's working. And I did that for years. And then when I found human design and I did my chart, it all came out, and I studied my chart, and I was just like, oh my goodness, like this, I knew this is everything I have known, but now I can see it in my chart. And it just I actually broke down in tears, because I'm like, you know, I've been telling myself these things all my life, but I had no tangible evidence. And now I see it. So it's like, I wasn't like just telling myself things. This is the truth. So I was able to use that now in a way that I'm like, okay, yes. And this is, I know this, but now how can I create more impact with this? How can I help people with this? Because now there's that tangible evidence that you can actually see it rather than just think you know it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you stumble across human design? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, it's very interesting because I actually was doing my strategy before I even knew it. So I'm a person that loves to dive into things, to learn all things. The reason that is because I have the gate 48 in my chart, which is inadequacy. So I have this thing that I don't know enough. I will never know enough. I have to constantly prove myself, constantly be learning, constantly doing all the things. So I was in that space and human design showed up, and I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. Let me check it out. So I checked it out. And at that time, it didn't feel right. I was like, it doesn't feel right to me. So I'm just going to let it go. A year later, it kind of showed up again. And I was like, okay, it's showing up again. This feels better this time. I'm going to get a book first just to see, because I know I like to dive into all the things. So I bought the book. I read it in like a week and a half to 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, well, this is something. So then I invested in the training and I got all the certification and everything. But, you know, my strategy is I'm a manifesting generator. So my strategy is wait to respond to things in the external world. So what happened is it's also all about right timing. So it came to me first and it wasn't right. Didn't feel it. Okay, I let it go. Came to me again. I said, ooh, interesting. I'm going to do this. I'm going to read it just in case. And then I responded, okay, this is it. So by learning your human design type, you learn how to energetically make decisions that are aligned with your ease and fulfillment and growth in life. So it doesn't have to be a struggle. You don't have to reach for it and like look for it externally. It's really about tuning into your energetic strategy and trusting the process, and then it becomes easy.
And this might sound like woo-woo out there for some people listening, but like as we go into this more, I think people are going to start to understand like, wow, okay, because it really does work. So we're going to talk about human design here. Tell me, you said you did your chart a little bit. We didn't really get into it. So tell me, like, first off, what is the human design process? What does that look like? How do you figure that out for yourself?
So human design process, all you need to know is your birth date, birth time, and birth year. So you enter that into this little website, and you get this chart that has colors and areas of whiteness and shapes and lines. So what this chart represents is it takes into actually traditional wisdom like the Hindu chakra system, astrology, the tree of life, the Chinese I Ching, and then it also brings in quantum mechanics. So within this chart, there's all of these modalities within this chart. And I teach it in a way that is a layering effect because, like, as you said, you went down that rabbit hole. There's so much information, so much. But what happens is when you go down that rabbit hole and you don't practice it, you don't integrate it, you don't do it, you don't understand it, it's just information in the mind. You're not living it. So once you learn about, okay, what type I am, because there's 5 different types, you learn the first step in how to align energetically. And that goes into your strategy. So each one has a different type of strategy based on their energetics.
Okay. And I want people to understand, like, this isn't like taking a personality quiz, right? Where like, you know, you got like the Myers-Briggs is the popular one that a lot of people take. And they'll be like, oh, I'm now an ENFP or whatever. And this is way more in depth than that. And there's no questions. Like, this is literally just based off of when you were born.
Yeah. And I will just say too, you know, I've actually not, I mean, I always thought those things were fun. I never really practiced them. It just didn't feel aligned with me. But then because of my yoga practice and I knew about energies, when I found this just made all the sense, because it really helps you even go into why you believe certain things, why you have certain conditioning or beliefs that you created about yourself. And it has to do with having energy and receiving other people's energy. So it really gets even deeper into like letting go of beliefs, letting go of limiting things that show up for you on your experiences and all that. So it's not just a personality test that is like based on who you are now, because what it really is, it's like a chart that shows you who you truly are when you were born. And then we kind of reflect on, well, that's not how I feel about myself now. Well, that's because you're conditioned. That's because you have these beliefs created. So it kind of gets you back to who you were. So then you can step into who you fully are now.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So how, like, what are these? You talked about the 5 personality types. So give me like a high level on what those are.
The 5 personality types are the generator, the manifesting generator, the manifester, the reflector, and the projector.
Okay.
So the manifesting generator and generator, these two are combined together for the most part. There's a little bit of a difference between them, but when you think of it, I'm a manifesting generator, have work and life force energy. When we are inspired, we will work forever. We love being of service. We love creating. We love being in the physical realm and helping people. That's what we're here to do. Kind of like the busy bees, you know, we have all this energy. The projectors, they make about 20%. So the generator types make about 70% of society.
Okay.
The projectors make 20%. So what they are is they basically receive a lot of other people's energy. And the reason that is if you look at your chart, you'll see all these white areas. That is where you take in other people's energy. So the projectors have a lot of white in their chart. So that means they're taking in everyone's energy. So they can see and feel other people's energy because they're constantly taking it in. However, they do not see or feel their energy as much because it's less consistent, because they don't have a lot of the coloring in there. So they're constantly taking in other people's energy. So they're kind of like the managerial. They oversee us generator types. They see a big picture, and then we get to do the work. So if you think about it, all of these types really work together, not separately. We're really here to support one another. After the projectors, the manifester makes up 9% of society.
Okay.
They are what we are taught to be as entrepreneurs. They are the initiators. They get to have an inspiration, an idea, and go do the thing that they want to do without even really thinking about it. They initiate things. So that's 9% of society. Only 9. We're all taught to be that, right?
Right.
So no wonder we're out of alignment here. We're pushing. So the manifester, though, because they are also very open and they get to initiate, a lot of the times don't finish. They need the extra support from us to do the work. They remind me of a sprinter. Like they have this initiation process, they get to sprint, but then they're tired. Most of the manifestors I've worked with have to take naps during the day. And as soon as I tell them that, they're like, oh my goodness, I can take a nap. Like I was getting on myself because I didn't think I wasn't allowed. And then they actually wake up more inspired and finish what they were doing. So the manifestors are 9%. And then the reflector. The reflector is 1%. Very rare.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yes. Very rare. And that means they have every single center, which is the shape in your chart, open. So it's white. Every single center is open. So what does that mean? That means they take in everyone's energy constantly, and they're actually a mirror to their environment. Because if they're taking in other people's energy, if their energy is not thriving, their environment is not happy. So they're kind of like a mirror of, oh, are we in alignment? Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? Are we in chaos? So reflectors actually have to spend a lot of time out in nature because they're constantly taking in other people's energy. So when you come in the presence of a reflector, it's always very interesting to connect to like see how the environment's doing.
That's so cool. We took this quiz. So it was me and my sister and my mom and my dad. And it all started because I have a almost 1-year-old son, and he was struggling he was giving me a hard time trying to eat his food is what was happening. And my sister was like, well, take this quiz because, you know, you could be like a hot or a cold person for the food piece. So she was like, see what way, you know, he likes to do it. So I was like, okay, so that's how this started. And then we found out that like me and my dad was a generator. I was a manifesting generator. My mom was a projector and my sister was a projector. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it was really neat to get into.
What about your son?
So he was a generator as well. Yeah.
Yes. And the thing too, also, just a little side note, in these types, we actually inherit our type, our chart from our grandparents.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And why that is it's actually a way for you to, like, let's say like me and my mother, we do not get along at all. So by her parents, I actually get to work with her. Like she gets to work with her parents through my chart. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like the karmic. So usually there's a belief or something that comes up in our life that we have a hard time either with our parents. So basically what it gives them is it gives my grandparents the opportunity to work with me in a way that they were affected by their children.
Oh, okay. So it helps you work better with your parents then?
Exactly.
That's interesting. Okay, because I struggle with my mom from time to time. And so I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's very interesting when you're able to like see all the charts.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, you know, that's one example. And that's right where my next question was going is like, once you understand yourself, how does that help you work with others?
Yeah, you know, I want to say that knowing yourself is priority. Because a lot of the times in life, we're always external. We're trying to get validation or love or acceptance from everybody else. But once we actually learn who we are and accept who we are, then we get to fully be authentic and then bring other people into that, meaning other people that you work with, other relationships. So how it really helps you is, you know, I'm going to use the example of my son and his wife. My son is a generator and his wife is a projector. My son loves to do things, would have energy. His wife does not have a lot of energy because she's constantly taking in other people's energy and she's exhausted. So he would always ask me, why is she so lazy? Like, why does she sleep all the time? Why does she need to have so much downtime when she slept 12 hours, 13 hours? So it gave them that acceptance and awareness. Like projectors, they need more sleep. They need more recovery time. They need less work, more self-care. And the reason that is because they have a lot of white areas. So they take in that energy and then it burns them out. So they have to release it and rest. So projector in that relationship right there, he was able to say, oh, you know what? She's not lazy. It's not something that she's consciously doing. It's like her body is physically tired and she needs to rest. So it gives you that acceptance and love in family members and friends. You got kind of realize, oh, we're manifesting generators. We do things fast. We can do 20 different things at one time. But you know what? A generator can't do that because they need to be slow and steady and consistent. So once you learn about the different types, you're able to say, oh, you know what? I know I'm this type. I have lots of energy. I'm going to do this you go take a rest, because I know that you are good at this and that's what you need your energy. So it really gives us the ability to support one another in our energy. And actually, and even in entrepreneurship, in teams, it gives people the awareness of where people thrive and where they don't, so that you can support one another and fully be in alignment with what you do best.
So, and I think it's important for people to understand too, that like, this isn't something that you can change. You can't work to be like, this is who you are.
Yes. But it is also, and it never changes. So I love that you brought that up. This is your chart. This is your energy. However, I will say, like the layering effect, there's a lot of information. You'll learn type and strategy first. You'll start diving into that. Okay, I'm trusting the process. I'm responding. Then you want to learn your authority. Oh, my authority is sacral authority. So that means or spleen authority. That means I'm in the now. So there's different layers of going into how aware you want to be about your energy. Some people just want the quick and easy, and some people want to know all the things. And whatever works for you, that's what works for you.
So let's talk about parenting, because I think this could be interesting. When you're trying to parent a child, and a new mom myself, and you said your son is older, so you've done this. So how does this help you help women, because the show's geared toward women, with raising your children and knowing their energy?
It's a great question. I always wondered about my two boys. They were so different. And now I know why. I do have a daughter that is 10. I am aware of this now. So with her, I've been able to really be consciously aware of some of the inadequacies she may feel. So I'm going to give an example. She has, if you're looking at your chart, like I mentioned, the centers are the shapes. So she has a G center, which is the heart center, open. What that means is she receives other people's energy there, which is direction, love, and identity. So what does that mean? That means when she is around people, she changes. She changes into their identity because she's taking in their energetics. So some people, she will be mean. Some people, she will be more outgoing. Some people, she will be shy. And it's because she's taking in that energy. So I have realized in this, it's very important for her to be around the right people for her. Because if she's not, she could become aggressive. She could become angry. So I always make sure that I feel good with the way that she's acting with someone, that is a positive role model for her to be, Okay. One other big area is the throat. If the throat center is open, white, these are the people that often feel not seen and heard their entire life. And she has a white open throat. She will be screaming above everybody to have her voice heard, and no one will recognize her. Because with an open throat, a lot of the times you don't feel that energy. So you constantly are trying to be seen and heard. I remember her saying to me, I remember her in her room, actually, she's talking with 3 different friends, and I hear her screaming because no one's listening to her. So we had a conversation. I said, okay, you know what, honey, you have an open throat, and I know you don't know what that means, but that means sometimes for you, it's important for you to have the person look at you and acknowledge you so that they hear you. And right now you're not feeling heard because you have to scream over everyone. So maybe it would be a good idea if you talk to one person at a time so that you are consciously being recognized and not having to fight to be seen and heard. And I didn't think she heard about it. She listened, but in the car, I will say that she was talking about her friend, and she's like, you know what? It's okay she did that because I have an open throat. She doesn't know. I was just like, oh, yes.
That's adorable. But you got through. That's so important.
Yeah. So if you think about that as you're growing up, if you don't know this about yourself and you're fighting and fighting and fighting to be seen and heard, you don't understand why people aren't hearing you. You're going to have that belief about yourself that no one cares about me. No one wants to hear me. I can't use my voice. But if you recognize the fact that you need to be recognized because you have an open throat, you get to grow up and notice, oh, you know what? I need to be sure that I'm talking one-on-one, or someone needs to be looking at me for them to hear me. It's not about me not being loved or seen or heard. It's me making sure that I'm in the alignment that I need to be so that I can be seen and heard.
That is such a great example of how, like, this is just one way that this chart can make an entire difference in the way that you just go through life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how come people aren't taught about this? How come this is something that seems like nobody knows about?
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that, because I feel like everyone knows about it now because it's all I talk about.
I feel like nobody does.
I know. But, I will say this is pretty new. It was downloaded by Ra in 1987 in Spain. It was during a supernova. So stars were coming together, and he had 5 days of this download, this voice that he received all this information about how the earth is not in alignment, how we're killing the environment, how we need to save the planet. And he actually, in his download he received, it said, this is actually for your children so that you can raise your children in alignment. So he made it his life work to put it out there. Now, the way that he put it out there was in a way of shock. And the reason that is because, first of all, in his conscious sun, and I know you won't understand this, but if you dive into things, you'll start to learn. In his conscious sun, he has the gate of shock. So that means he was here to really talk about things in a shock value, to scare people into like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Now, my teacher, Karen Cray Parker, she is here more about high vibrational wording, using the knowledge of what we already know about ourselves because of our charts, and then stepping into a higher potential. So her wording is all through creating more potential and growth.
Okay.
So human design is a new aspect, but it is becoming more and more mainstream. Like I said, I feel like everyone knows about it. But yeah, I know so many people do not know about it. So it is really a priority of mine to get as many people to understand themselves, to know about this, so that we can help the environment, we can help the planet, we can help humanity through our own awareness of who we truly are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how, if people want to find out their human design, where do they go? Yeah,
so there's many places you can go. There's free Genetic Matrix has a free chart. Jovian has a free chart. I offer a free chart if you go to my website, which is miranda-mitchell.com. I have a chart that I actually run to make sure that it's accurate, because sometimes the birthdays get messed up. And I also send it with a video. So I like to give you the first step into alignment. So I help you with your strategy in that video so that you can start tuning into what is your strategy, so that you start making decisions in the best way for you. So you can go to my site or any of those areas that I mentioned previously.
And talk about you a little bit. What exactly is your role with this, and how can you help people? How can they find you?
Yeah, so my role, it's shifting too. It's all the possibility is amazing. As you tune into your strategy and you wait for things to show up to you, it's like, oh my gosh, I was not aware of that, So I mentioned my website. You can go to there to get the chart. First of all, connect with me. I do foundational readings, all the fun stuff in there as well, if you want to go deeper. And also, I actually have just created, with another partner of mine, Annalena, we have created a certification for human design that is launching March 17th. And this is for conscious leaders. This is for people that have containers, coaches. We feel like if we can teach you how to do these charts and learn about yourself and then bring that to your clients, that's how we can create impact. Because we're only 2 people. We can't do everything. But how can we make more impact? Bring this into other people's containers. Bring this into their coaching containers, their podcasts, their businesses, so that everyone starts to tune in a little bit to who they truly are, so that they can create the impact that they truly want.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Miranda, I am going to have your link to your website here in our show notes so people can go and find you, take that free test, and just learn about themselves, get the process started. It's totally worth it. I want to thank you for being here, sharing this. I mean, I know it was a lot and that was high level. You can go so much deeper into this stuff. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. And if you want to hear more Soul Source, just subscribe to our show. We're available wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can watch us too. We're on YouTube. Just look for Soul Source. Soul Source is brought to you by Red Shoes Inc., a leading agency specializing in crisis and strategic communications, media relations, social media, and so much more. To learn more about Soul Source and Red Shoes, visit us at redshoesinc.com.